Hey, Zach.
Hey,
How you doing, friend?
good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I gotta go get my headphones.
Okay.
Knew I was forgetting something.
Yeah.
Ah, there's my friend. Ah, there he is. There's the star.
All right. There he is.
Welcome.
Peace, peace. Let me make sure I can hear. Putting the volume up.
Okay.
Well, Guan, because far as I know, man, it's getting hot out here, boy.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
like the Macho Man Randy Savage said, you may not like it, but accept it.
Man.
That's real.
You have look, man. We're on the road to WrestleMania. You know I got a wrestling quote for everything.
Oh hell yeah.
And right now, with the video that we promoted, that eager that duet and the comment section is just
A mess.
Ooh.
A mess.
I, I know that's where I want to start because that's the basis of the questioning I have at the present moment. So mainly because of the status I just put on Facebook, I think I want to start with the question of are our European American friends and family 37 days into an open white supremacy? Are they in survival mode right now?
It- yeah. I just tell me to shut up if I'm out of place and not
You're
supposed to be
not out of
talking.
place.
But
Figure it
yeah,
out, man.
I would say 100%. I mean, as
There's
far as
Taz.
seeing it from this end, from a therapist perspective, and in my own community, uh, survival, emotional survival is off the charts. Survival mode, I should say.
Because,
Hey, Taz.
peace, Taz.
Hey,
Because all right, so let's rehab. Let's just frame this a little bit, okay?
Okay.
In our last iteration of this conversation, Taz was dropping all kind of jewels,
Yes,
and
she
the
was.
visual that she set up, or let me change that. The visual that was set up, that they set up, was our European American friends and family, the entire community, is the metaphor of a bullet. And right now, we have all collectively giving the bully the silent treatment. And no matter what the bully says or does, we're looking at the bully like we're not playing tag, we're not playing football, we're not playing dodgeball, we're not going down the slide with you, we're not swinging with you, we're not doing the jungle gym with you, we're not racing with you, we're not playing with you at all. We are done. So either you change your behavior, and I'm going to quote Bob Marley on this one. Now the weak must get strong, and they cry, "Oh, what a tribulation!" Let that sink in. Or you can stay isolated in your bully form. Okay, we have seen expert analysis of what happened in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, in that town hall. I have seen more think pieces of play delusion that I've ever seen in my life. I didn't know you could do that many mental gymnastics in one parent or one essay in my life. They are trying to bring in, well, she's a past political advocate and she was at odds with everybody in that room, or, well, people knew who she was, or just trying to come up with justifications for why no one stepped in, why the people who were operating this decided it was okay to treat a United States citizen this way. Um, I'm not surprised. You know, the people in Coeur d'Alene, that's just the way they are. That's just the way they are. It's the and the more that they attempt to distance themselves from what they plainly saw, the more delusional the white people look as white supremacists. And then they don't want us to believe that white supremacy is happening. I'm sorry, people are texting me and it's moving my phone. They don't want us to believe that white supremacy is happening, but in order for us to accept their arguments, we have to accept that their viewpoint is valid and at least supreme to a certain extent for us to have to take this delusional mental gymnastics and actually work with what they just got through saying. So, um, so that's why I asked the question is, are our European American friends and family in survival mode right now? And so my follow-up question to it being yes, how are they defining survival mode? Because it's obvious that, we're on Earth 616 in the Marvel Universe, and they're on Earth 74, man, okay? They're not on the same Earth that we are on. They're an alternative part of the multi-universe, right? Like their Superman is white, ours is black. Their Firestarter star was white, ours is black. I mean, what the actual?
Oh no, we're on Earth 616. They're on Wally's. They're not even on Earth. Okay, they're up there in their hover round, chilling. Survival mode for Euro Americans is sitting back waiting for somebody else to do it. Because first of all, the cognitive dissonance, the mental gymnastics, and the Houdini of it all is nothing new. They've been saying this to us since they came over here, drenched the soil in blood, and stole the land. Because they tried to convince us that the United States is the only great democracy, the only place where there is freedom and civilization. Okay, why does every place else exist? They tried to convince us that they brought us culture. If you were so great, you had a utopia, why did you leave it? And if we were the problem, why would you want to live side by side with us? This is why they are now sitting back, losing their collective shit, because they are waiting for their good chattel to come and do what chattel does, work.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, the ghost of James Baldwin has temporarily possessed Taz.
Well, I'm going through some things because I can't have Mountain Dew right now.
I hear you, because as James Baldwin said, he would not trade all gold in Fort Knox. He would not trade all the oil in Texas. He wouldn't trade all the money that white people.
One moment, my good brother. One moment, my good brother. For those of y'all that like to come into the comment section and tell us to leave, how about you leave? You left. You left because you weren't good enough. You, at your mediocre best, you weren't good enough. You couldn't out criminal the biggest criminals over in Europe. So you came over here and you could not get through the first season. So you went and stole from the Portuguese to get us here. See, you weren't even good enough to go steal us yourself. You had to steal from somebody else. That's why you're still trying to convince the Hispanics and the Latinos to do the dirty work for you so you can steal by proxy through them. So when you talk about somebody not liking it here and leaving, that is what you all do. When you are coddled, you pick up, pack up, and run, but you don't do any recon. That's why the elements kick your ass. And if you think that you are better than me and mother son can easily sneeze and wipe you off the planet, you genetic mutation, you picked the wrong time in the wrong place. I am a proud card-carrying member of the most educated demographic in these United States, and I am fervently intellectually arrogant. Okay.
All right. Okay.
So while
that was a fast read.
And you were signing the back of checks, let me explain something to you. I have an accountant and attorney. I sign the front of checks, and I determine your classification when it comes to taxes. So which one of us needs to leave?
In Kemet, Tahuti actually writes for the living. His wife, Ma'at, judges the dead. And you may not get in, She may leave you in limbo if you don't balance the scales, as they say. I'm just gonna write down what happened. That's it. Cause good God Almighty. If I was you, whoever is in the
That's a
conversation,
crime
I would
scene.
leave Taz alone today. I would leave her. I would leave them alone. I would leave them alone because
It's a whole crime scene.
yeah, I'm just gonna use my pen. I'm not saying a goddamn thing. God damn.
Real
Cat.
shit.
It was real though.
I'm out of Mountain Dew and I'm out of Reese cups. It ain't looking good over here.
I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. I hear
Thank
you.
you,
I hear you.
Courtney.
Our ability to cope, is getting low. It's getting low. I can't deal with the fuck shit too much, man. I had to do that on the comment section underneath that video. Okay. We tried coming with, clotheslines in the beginning, and then we said, okay, that's not working. So then we went to compassion route. And now we went back to clotheslines because this is just ridiculous, okay? Because they just the level. Every time I think we get to the basement, then they start going to basement 1, then basement 2, then basement 3, then basement 4, then basement. And you start asking, are there any limits to the level of, are we going to get to the hot core of the planet Earth the way y'all keep going lower and lower?
Let me explain something to y'all. I am the Dora Milaje. Keep playing with me. Keep playing with me. Okay? Keep on. Keep on. Everybody gonna be kung fu fighting. You gonna be fighting for your life. I keep telling y'all, I have 8 brothers. I am the scary one. Okay? I study history for shits and giggles, okay? For fun. And I study the oddball stuff in history, okay? And I make fun of it. I make fun of it, okay? The great founders of Kumasi, Ghana, I have turned into a telenovela for my enjoyment.
See,
You need me to talk about them hunching over there, okay? Don't play with me.
I hear you. I got one of you in my family, right? I get to call her sister. And when my niecey bums try and make an appeal to me, to save them from their mother, I literally have to tell them, she can suplex me, right? And they go, but I'm the biggest of them all. I know we can pick her up and everything, but she would usually put me down, put me down. Okay, so I don't know what to tell you. I don't know.
I am like
I don't know what to tell you. Okay.
And see, that's the thing. Black women are the fire ants of society. Okay, we look small. We look good. Okay, we build some stuff and we'll be quick.
Hi, I was just letting Taz finish.
You're so cute. Let me walk up in the middle of it, and when you do, and we touch you because you disturbed us, you're going to get a stinging deep down in your spirit. Okay, no amount of calamine lotion, no amount of aloe is going to help you. The only thing that's going to help you is you taking yourself back to where you were supposed to be. Stop trying to put yourself in where we are. And Euro-Americans, as you are trying to figure out how to heal and where to navigate, because we kept giving you blueprints and kept giving you maps and you just kept setting them shits on fire. So we're done. Okay, we're out of pen, we're out of paper, we have no more compasses left. You're on your own. Okay, get a sundial. I don't know what to tell you. Okay, resurrect Christopher Columbus. I don't know. Okay, find Amerigo Vespucci, but don't find us. We're not helping you anymore. And we're going to tell you, stop calling upon us. Okay, Mama Isis is not coming. All right.
Oh,
you're on.
Did she just say? Y'all don't think y'all heard what she just said? Hold on. She just. Oh my God. Tab just said the one that by their breath alone can return the ba into the body has said, I will not do this work. Stay in your dormant state. You are paralyzed. You can't be vertical. You're at the dead horizontal. We will not put you up on a living perpendicular. That is, you guys have no idea how cold-blooded to be. You get that? They don't believe you die. That means that you're conscious, but you're in a body that won't respond to your consciousness.
And I don't think that people realize that's where they are right now. You're screaming out for help, and you feel that no one is helping you because we can't hear you. You spoke over us so long, you caused yourself to be hoarse.
Can I talk? Oh, can I introduce? Hello, hello,
Hello.
hello. Just hopping in.
Good to see you, Renee.
That was a good. That was good. I mean, I've been seeing this a lot, and like, I'm making a stitch about this later because I just saw somebody's video on my FYP. They don't understand harm reduction. They don't understand that, like, most of the black people on the left who were voting for Democrats were not voting for Democrats because they were 100% behind Democratic policies, not voting for Democratic party policy because, the Democrats care about black people necessarily. They were voting for harm reduction. And a lot of these people who did not give a fuck about harm reduction, sorry about the cursing, didn't care about solidarity and community and compassion 6 months ago, are now begging for all of those things when you could have done it when we were telling you to do it. But now that you understand what the issue is, and now that you understand that you are also on the chopping block, because again, white people don't think that they are community, they think they're individuals. And that's a lot of what I'm seeing right now with that thing that's going on with that lady in Idaho at that community center thing, whatever, that she got dragged out of. And a lot of white people are like, well, how did that happen? How could that because white people don't see themselves as a community. They see themselves as individuals, and everything that happens to the individual is only happening to that individual at that individual time. So they do not understand that one woman getting dragged out of that one meeting means that could happen to them at any time. If they don't keep themselves in line with whatever the status quo has decided is status quo, they are also about to be dragged out of whatever meeting that they are going to be in, and they don't seem to get that that is an issue for all of us. Okay. Like, if I don't really care if, you are terrified of putting yourself out there. Do you think that, like, black people and black women specifically were born just knowing how to get community and not born knowing how to, do all these things and use our voices? No. I went through a huge period of time where I was a very quiet individual, and then Trayvon Martin was unalived in the street. And then Mike Brown's body was left in the street for hours in front of his friends and family. And then Sandra Bland was stopped at traffic and never made it home. So now, when I get stopped in traffic, I turn on my camera. When I get online, I'm making a video about the fact that white women use their tears to escape accountability for anything. That they use their, proximity to white males to escape from accountability for anything. And we let them, because we say, oh, don't worry, it was probably him. He probably made you do it. No, they have accountability. They have their own, minds. How can we believe in feminism and then also, on the same token, let white women off the hook for literally everything that they do?
Okay, forgive me, sister, because to me, that part, what you just said, when you define feminism as through the individual lens, and you don't see feminism as a part of the systems, right? Like, as far as I know, student aid, daycare, Medicaid,
Exactly.
dealing with the houseless, providing clothing is feminism. All of those, if we go,
all of it.
Womanism, because if we go to indigenous systems, who had in charge of those? Who were in charge of those?
And it's the fact that they benefit the most from, like, DEI and affirmative action and all those things, but they are the first ones to want to get rid of them because they think that they only benefit us.
Oh, no. It's not that. White women can't define feminism. White women tend to go against themselves because white women know that everybody, all of their men, look at them as walking, breathing, talking medical equipment. White women hate black women more than they hate anybody else on the planet. White women are to be tools and to be shields and nothing more. White women have gotten a little beside themselves when white men are involved, and white women are like, hold up, I want some of this attention you're giving these people over here and everything else, and I want some of this power. And white men are like, hold up, you got too much dip on your chip. You are here to keep us populated, and you are here to stand in front of me. You are to shield me. I am never to shield or protect you. This is why white women teach their daughters and their friends to weaponize their truth. And this is why they cannot come together. They hear
There's no such thing as solidarity
they
in
hear
white
words,
feminism.
and they see movements, and they mimic it the best that they can. This is
Yeah.
why when they infiltrate movements, the movements become about them, and they garner
Yep.
disdain when
Yep.
people don't want to keep the movement going about them.
Yeah. Like Me Too and Tarana Burke getting hijacked by Alyssa Milano. Exactly. It's the issue that I'm having though is that like I am tired of being asked to show compassion, right? Like I'm a very compassionate person. I'm a very like loving and like generous person typically. I also I have ASD, so I have a high justice. I believe in justice, like I have a high threshold for seeking justice in society. My issue is that I've spent my entire life seeing outside of myself. I've spent my entire life seeking change for the collective. And at this big age, at 44 years old, I just realized that I am like I as a black woman have been raised to that and nobody else was. Like everybody else was raised to see black women as their savior, but they are also taught that they're individuals. Like don't worry, a black woman will take care of it. What's that meme that was going around a little while ago? Oh, if you're in trouble, find a black woman. No, don't find a black woman. Don't find me. Find a cop. Find a white lady. Find somebody else. Do not find me because I am not going to help you. I will help a child. I will help somebody who cannot help themselves. But I am tired of. I've actively been dragged out of my own nonsense to have to pull myself together for white people. I'm done.
Yeah, that's why
I'm not your mammy.
I can be kind. I can be nice. I will never be benevolent. Do not look to me
No.
to save you. I will point you in the direction to the store where you can get the supplies and build your hut of salvation. You can save yourself. But also,
Save yourself.
we need to keep in mind that especially as black women, for everyone, we have never been able to be soft, to have a childhood.
Uh-huh.
We have been raised, indoctrinated, and pushed to be the backbone for everyone. This is why people get pissed off, not upset, not hurt, but pissed off when we exhibit anything other than Jesus. If we're hurt,
people get actively angry when black women set boundaries.
Yep, they get pissed off at us when we're hurt. They get pissed off at us when we're frustrated. That's why they're pissed off at us now when we say, hold up, we're taking a back seat. Because why is it that everybody else can utilize all of their FMLA, all of their PTO? Hell, they can retire and just sit on their ass when it comes to revolution and revolt. But we're done fighting for everybody else. We must preserve and pour into each other because it's only each other that's willing to keep our lights trimmed and burning. Everybody else wants to keep blowing out our light or stealing our oil, and we're done with it. Y'all told us we wasn't shit, so let us not be shit and be lazy over here.
I remember at the beginning of like
from us, but revolt and revolution and survival skills. You've been from us all this time, and the only thing you sold was piss poor makeup tips, how to dress and how to braid your hair.
I remember at the beginning of the conflict with not conflict at the G side in Peacetime, when I was trying to talk about like mutual aid and stuff like that, people were like, or trying to get when people were saying, oh, I have compassion fatigue and I just need to take a break and I need to step back and da 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 da. But now, when black women collectively en masse are saying, hey, we have spent our entire lives giving compassion. We have been told that if we ask for reciprocal care, that is being selfish. So instead of waiting for y'all to take care of us, and instead of putting ourselves out there for y'all, we're gonna step back, take care of ourselves, take care of our mental health, and do what we got to do. And everybody freaked out. Everybody is mad, angry at the idea that we might be collectively tired.
And
Personally, myself, for the last
everybody else is tired. How are y'all
Yeah.
tired about witnessing?
How are you
what we
tired?
go
I spent
through?
my
How
literal
are you
entire
tired
life.
from hearing about it. How
Yeah,
are y'all tired from spectating oppression? How are you tired from watching our lives like it's a movie? How are you
Yeah.
tired from treating us like TGI Friday in
But
the
not for
90s?
not. But not even that. How are you
Whoa,
not
whoa,
understanding that we
yo.
are tired from living it?
Okay,
That's that part.
pause, both of y'all, pause, because y'all are, Lord have mercy. Okay, please, Zach or Vix, could y'all write that down? Because I think I missed it. She said, "How are you tired from
Watching our lives like TGI
Is that what
Fridays.
you said? Is that what Taz just said?
Watching the
Please
oppression,
tell me
yeah.
that's part of the highlight of this. Oh my sweet Jesus Selassie!
They do. Oppression is their spectator sport. They think
I
that,
hear you.
oh, if I care enough, if I care about it, that means that I'm a good person. Not I'm doing anything to do anything about it. I just care. I just notice that you're going through it, so that makes me a good person.
This
You
is
know,
why
I'm
they
automatically
go-
anti-racist just because I notice that you
This
are
is
a
why
black
they
woman
fight hard
and
and
you are
long
suffering.
online for their favorite creators because they look at us as favorite characters in their favorite TV series, in their favorite movie genres. We're not
Oh my God.
human. We are characters that cannot be flawed. We cannot be
But a lot of
infallible because to them we don't really exist. So when we die, there's no pain for them because we're going to be replaced by the next actress as if it is the fucking guiding light. Like,
But that's the thing. A lot of those nouveau black leftists that we're having a lot of issues with right now feed into that. Like everything that's going on with Crutches and Spice and Tori. Tori does not feed into that. Crutches and Spice feeds into that. You know, her and her sympathizers and the people that are on that side of it, the conversation, feed into that kind of ideal of, well, I am your favorite celebrity and I am your arbiter of what is good and right. And what a lot of us are trying to do is rewrite that narrative of, no, I am doing this because I need to make my life better. Because if y'all don't internalize the fact that we live in this kind of social structure, none of our lives are going to change. You know, we're not
absolute facts.
Where are y'all talking about people with labels like leftists?
Real quick, to the person in the comments,
because I'm allowed to do that, Shade. I'm allowed to have an opinion about leftist spaces because I'm a
everything in
leftist.
life gets labeled, and if you don't like the fact that things are labeled, go find a planet, pitch a tent there.
Where labeling
fuck
does
yourself
not
in.
exist because
Number
this is
one.
not the one.
Number two,
race is a social construct, and we live in a society.
right? And number two, let me say, I put it in a video earlier, but I don't think y'all hear me. And for those watching, let me make this clear. I am speaking for myself and myself alone. If people agree with me,
Exactly.
they do. But let me say this. Blackness is not a disability. And when you make the disability the forefront and hide behind it as if nobody can critique you, when
Exactly.
the detriment to the black community, you are no different. You are no different than Django.
And not for nothing.
You are no different than Sambo. You are no different than those that Harriet had to carry a bullet for. And let me explain something to you. My peace will always be my peace, but my peace is also named Smith with a little bit of Wesson, and my peace will keep you still if you decide to backtrack my people anymore. We are not going to keep being pushed back to the starting point because you need to be coddled. And you aren't ready to get into the thick of it, and you want to keep making left turns only. We are not doing that. We are ready for the Autobahn, and we are not taking speed limits or limitations on anything else. And I do not care if you're black, if you're beige, if you are cream, if you are white, if you are purple, or if you are tangerine. Either you want equity for all, or you want to join your ancestors.
You want
Let
to
the
join
let the
your
two that
ancestors.
just came in introduce
Lord,
themselves.
have mercy. Yo, y'all.
Let the
take
two
a
that
breath.
just came in introduce themselves.
So y'all, please, take a
Let the
breath.
two people that
Hold
just
on.
came in introduce
Yeah, we gotta.
themselves.
Because
Yeah, we gotta let
wow,
them
what in
introduce
the
themselves.
world?
Let the two people that just came in
So
introduce themselves.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
We can hear
yes.
you.
My name, I go by Mel. I have to kind of I love everything that you guys are saying and the passion and the anger because it's justly so. It is beyond justly so. It has been it, the thing is that what I see now is I see shit where people are actually doing stuff. They're starting to do stuff where they should have been doing stuff for a long time. And then I see other people who are essentially just putting on a show, where it's oh yeah, this needs to be done, but then going about and doing nothing for it. Like, I'm so happy that Jane Fonda fucking said her speech, but then did nothing for it. Fucking put some
Jane
up.
Fonda has been
Nut up or shut up.
Jane Fonda's been in it since the Vietnam War, though. Like, she works behind the scenes
Oh,
since the
I know
Vietnam
she
War.
has,
They've called her Hanoi Jane since then.
but the problem is that she says these things, but then there's just no action
That's a
from
lie.
her
She
or
just
her
hold on.
There
She
gathering
does
of
a lot of
You just
people.
said
protests.
that's a
there is
lie.
She goes to
action.
protests
Not
all the
true.
time.
But here's the thing: far too often we look for things to be performative, and people are looking for the
Yeah.
performance instead of the reality. Here's a little snippet of history for you to give you a better understanding. Jane Fonda is the way that she is because of her father. Her father lived through the Red Summer, and that, he said, shaped him. He watched his fellow Euro Americans murder black people over lies that they told because they wanted to take over what black people had built. Her
Teach.
father instilled in her, don't do it for the performance. Don't do it for the pat on the back. Don't do it to have people look at you. Do the real work that happens. And that's the thing. The real work isn't glorified. The real work isn't profitable. The real work doesn't get televised, because I'm pretty sure you don't realize what brought about change in the beginning of the civil rights era, because we're still in the civil rights era. Because the school teachers that use the printing presses to get the information printed and out, you don't hear about. The
Teach.
women who cooked for everybody because they weren't just marching on empty stomachs, you don't hear about. The women and men who babysit the kids so people could get back and forth, you don't hear about. The real work isn't glorified, but it needs to be done, and it gets done every day. What we have been conditioned to is watching people parade around the screen and be the Jesse Jacksons and the Farrakhans and everyone else. That's not who we need. We don't need another
That part.
Rosa Parks. We need another Claudette Colvin. That's
And
what
not for
we
nothing,
need
as someone who has
Okay.
met Jesse
upon
Jackson,
the change.
But,
We don't need another John Smith, okay?
as
We need a Tabatina. We need more of those that finance those people and are still willing to work as the maids to have an ear to the ground to know what's going on. That's what we need. We don't need another Frederick Douglass. We need another Anna Murray Douglass to get the
let
work
me
uh-oh.
done
just
and keep the
let me
Underground Railroad going through. You're looking for the next superstar instead of the next person who gets results.
let me just interject
It's
also. Can we stop trying to find the one person that's going to lead these movements? This is leading back to the conversation that was being had after the Super Bowl with Kendrick and why isn't he more like Nina Simone? Even in those times, even in those revolutionary times, we are looking back on history and saying, why aren't the people of today those historical figures that we now venerate? Those people were not venerated in their time. Martin Luther King was not the Martin Luther King that we know today. They hated his guts. The US government paid to unalive that man. And it's the same US government that has a day in his name, pretend and trots him out every year to pretend that they listen to his message. No, that is propaganda. There is no such thing as a perfect activist. There is no such thing as a perfect person who is going to be leading these movements. Those leaders exist in our memory because they were unalived by a government who was scared of their message. Half the Black Panther Party was dismantled and destabilized because they were terrified of school lunch programs and social justice. So do not act like people like Jane Fonda or Beyonce or whomever are not doing enough, because we don't know what they're doing. We don't pay attention to everything that they're doing. And not for nothing, people, let's bring it back to Jay-Z and Beyonce, for instance. People were trotting out Jay-Z and Beyonce and why aren't they doing this and why aren't they taking care of the Black community and giving their money for this, that, and the other. These same people don't know that Jay-Z and Beyonce, during the first, wave of Black Lives Matter protests, paid for the protesters that got arrested for George Floyd and would pay and Michael Brown. They paid for people to get out of prison when they got arrested for protesting for these causes. They didn't make a big announcement about it. And that's why I respect about people is when you do things under the radar, for not for publicity, just for the social justice of it all. And personally, as someone who has been to the women's marches, who has done the activism, who has been to the trainings, who has done all of the things, stop waiting for somebody to tell you what to do and just go to a community pick an organization in your community that speaks about community issues and volunteer your time. That's all you got to do. Instead of waiting around for what this celebrity does or what that celebrity does or what whoever does, just go do the thing. And cut off the discourse.
And
I got a question.
just educate your friends and family. Y'all got all this smoke for all these melanated people, but where's the smoke for the man who said on his platform, "Hey, tell me how much it'll cost to end world hunger, and I'll do it."
Exactly. Where's the smoke for?
Well, they gave him that number.
Amazon guy who gave Jeff Bezos.
They gave that number to Elon Musk, and he reneged on it. They gave that number to Elon Musk because that's who asked. And he reneged on it. So now my question becomes, and because we've seen it in the comment section, and I've seen it in reaction to you guys' to your communication. Okay. So when you grow up with a Black woman or you grow up in a Black household, you know that one, you're gonna have to get in where you fit in. And if you can't get in where you fit in, then you're just gonna be shit out of luck. Okay. Ain't no and if or but about it. So the question becomes, how come our European American friends and family can bark at us, but they can't hear us barking back? Why do they fold under emotional charge? Why does it land in their mind like a punch rather than what it is? Just the passion.
Why are we expected to defer to their fragility? Why do we have to be kind to them? Why do I have to change my message and take it back? And, I'm going to apologize every time I get on screen and be like, just so that you guys know, I have a lot of white friends. Like, no, y'all don't care about my feelings 98% of the time. So why do I have to care about yours? Why do I have to, especially in my own oppression? You are my oppressors. Why do I have to gently and nicely tell you that you are oppressing me?
It's a twofold thing. It is a twofold thing. We have to keep in mind, they've never learned our languages. We've been forced to learn theirs. And one of our biggest languages is the language of compassion. The second part of that's pronged is we have been force fed the tyrannical version of compassion and forgiveness. We have been told that forgiveness is for us. It is not. When we blanketly forgive, it absolves people from recognizing what they need to hold themselves accountable for. So we infantilize them. That's why we are always, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Let me coddle you." And it takes us a while to get out of that. It takes us a while to move
Exactly.
away.
I am done with that mentality.
We don't have, they don't have to learn our language. We have to learn theirs. And we have to stop.
I'm in full agreement, because the compassion that European Americans receive from Black, brown, and indigenous persons is compassion at the point of a gun. It is because of white racial violence. So part of the conversation that we're looking to have was really from European Americans. That's what I was expecting, was for them to be in the truth and conciliation, or because there's never been there can't be reconciliation because there never was conciliation. Truth and conciliation chair of what's going on in your guys' minds, not in our minds, because we're not the problem. What's going on in your guys' mind that's causing this psychological pain? Because from what I can observe, you're doing it to yourselves. Black, brown,
They can't even confront half the. Let me just say, as an outside observer, my outside observation of whiteness is that there is a difficulty, and it becomes hard and physically uncomfortable to confront your own personal culpability in what might have actually happened in history, and not in the sense of you went out and did those things, but people that were related to you did. And in the sense of, there's another creator on here called The Controversial Blonde, who's one of my mutuals, and she is doing a thesis on epithelial DNA. And epithelial DNA is the concept that we have been passed down. I have some strong opinions about that too, girl. We have been passed down a lot of traits genetically and epigenetically in our DNA because of the traumas that were inflicted upon our ancestors. So when we think about the epigenetics of us, the trauma of Blackness, that's one thing to consider. But consider the epigenetics of the colonizer.
True.
What is the epigenetics of the person who was eating people 200 years ago? 100 years ago, up to the 70s, it was legal to eat black people. Y'all were eating us. And then calling us savages. Y'all were making us work in the fields and calling us lazy. You were using our babies as alligator bait and then giving us your children to raise. You were treating us as if we were less than human, and to this day, because of implicit bias, y'all don't even literally intellectually see us internally as human beings. When you're on EKG looking at other races, you do not see us as human on the same level as yourself, and you still expect me to think that you're willing and ready and able to come into solidarity with me, and you want me to gently guide you into it? Fuck that. Sorry, but no, thank you.
It's also, yes, Euro-Americans, well, Europeans, period, have positioned themselves to be the golden child. They have positioned themselves to be the golden child between Father Time and Mother Earth, okay? Not realizing that Father Time nor Mother Earth wanted them to begin with, okay? They just decided to be adopted into a family that never wanted them. So therefore, they must scapegoat every other child in the family to always look good. This is why they do things and don't have the money in the bank to do it. They do everything on credit and want the rest of us to come and pay the bill.
So again, the question becomes, and we may not be the ones that can answer that question, what's going on in white people's brains? Because yes, I fully agree with the cherry blossom experiment, documenting that epigenetics is real, and that we do not talk about the PITS, perpetrator-induced trauma syndrome, that our European American friends and family are navigating at all times. So now, the pain of growth. The question becomes, and we may not have the answers because we're black. The question becomes, what is going on inside of white people? White people got to answer this question. What's going on inside of white people that when you're asked to be compassionate, when you're asked to look at your implicit bias results that you can take on harvard.edu, and you see, oh my God, I don't recognize that black people feel pain. What do you do with that? Because that's your thing to deal with. That's not nothing to do with black people having to accommodate your disability. What's going on in white people when white people feel like, oh my God, I shouldn't be giving black people therapy. I shouldn't be their school teachers. I shouldn't be their medical providers. I shouldn't be their massage. I shouldn't do any body work on them because I think I'm dealing with a talking animal. I do not believe that I am dealing with another human being. What's going on inside of European Americans' minds when they find out that their definition of humanity is not universal. They're the last people on the planet, and they're just now coming into the wrinkle in their brain to have the neurological pathway, and it hurts them to find out, oh my God, this whole time I thought I was being human, and the rest of the planet has been placating me.
Miriam, do you want to answer? Do you have something to say?
I'll say something.
Okay.
I'm Sarah. Hi, everybody. Nice to meet you.
Oh, Sarah.
Well, thanks for letting me in this space. And when I think about the first time I took that unconscious bias test, I would have sworn I would have passed with flying colors, but then I didn't, and it shocked me. It absolutely shocked me to see that I had an unconscious bias towards Black people, because I mean, it was never in my mind. I considered myself to be a compassionate person, and so the idea that that was false like broke my brain, to the point that I just put it away. I just like put it on the side and then ignored it for like 10 years until I was able to come and wake up enough to be able to let go of my need to retreat to comfort, to be able to sit and listen and hear the passion and not read it as anger, to hear the frustration and not hear it as hate, to hear the pain and not feel a need to defend myself. Because the automatic defense is to be like, well, that's not me, that's not me, that's not me. But in reality, it is me, even if I'm not the one out there doing things overtly. I am supporting systems that are doing those things. But that's a couple years of work and 15 years of ignoring.
Question: What kind of things were helpful for you in this journey, and like what kinds of like media have you been consuming? Because my pet peeve, and I think you're one of my followers, I don't know, or you might have.
I just did.
I feel like
I wasn't following, but I just.
But I feel like I've seen your name before. But all I'm saying is, like, are you a white fragility / Jane what's her face Jane Elliott person, or are you engaging with Black literature and Black anti-racism? Because that makes a difference in my mind.
No, it absolutely does.
That's my question.
I think it's one of those things. So when I first started trying to get into this space, I was definitely like consuming more. I was watching Black produced films and Black written stories. I'm not much of a reader. I have a hard time reading these days, but I do have lots and lots of books that I have bought with every intention of getting to them. But I started out within that space of consuming that from a spectator point of view, and not
audiobooks
really
count as reading. It's
yes,
audiobooks count as reading.
Audiobooks to count.
Or just tapping into one of my book clubs, because I read too, y'all.
Yes, and I would say that was a huge part for me, was actually being in TikTok and stumbling into, I think the first place I stumbled into was White Women Whisperer, and then Portia, and then I just kind of started following more and more Black creators, more and more Black educators, and doing what I was told to do, which was just to shush and just listen and believe their stories, and to, rather than stop questioning and stop trying to see and trying to defend the system. And that was the first thing. It was actually this realization in my head that I made, that there is this, when we are confronted with the pain that is happening today, and the pain that happened in the past. The automatic response is to defend ourselves. But in reality, what we're doing is we are being the shield and putting ourselves in that position of being the person that is going to stand up and say, no, 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 to protect the system that is hurting everybody. And as soon as I made that realization that me saying I'm not
protecting the
racist,
system.
yeah, as soon as I made that realization that I'm me saying I'm not racist, I'm not doing that, that's me just admitting and standing and protecting something that I don't agree with. And as soon as I was able to be like, okay, this is me protecting something that is wrong. And as soon as I was able to make that switch in my mind, I was able to actually listen.
And actually please realize and understand the luxury that you have to individualize, because individualism is the curse of white supremacy.
It is.
Because y'all are the only people who are allowed socially to individualize. You're the only people that are allowed to be like, I am an individual. These are my thoughts. Don't judge me. I'm part of the whole. No, you are not. You are part of the collective. You do not get to step into my comments and be like, not me, when I'm saying something about white supremacy, because that's deflection that nobody needs. And I'm tired of y'all deflecting from that shit because you're doing it, you know?
I have a question, because it's going to horseback on, because I don't do piggyback, it's al Islam, on what sister just said, Renee just said. How did you confront that the reference points that you have for everything, because it was Thelma Bryant, Dr. Thelma Bryant, who in 2021 forced the American Psychological Association to admit that it has upheld white supremacy all the days of its life. So that would mean that your definition of compassion that you used earlier was from the oppressor class, to where you could tune out for 10 years, even though you knew, oh my God, I am not perceiving Black, brown, indigenous persons of color the way that they are perceiving, or I'm participating in the rest of the world. So you tune out for 10 years and harm Black, brown, indigenous persons of color for 10 more years while you're trying to interact with them. And you're trying to interact with them as if equality is happening, or as if you're not hurting them when you're talking to them, okay, and interacting with them. So how have you dealt with the fact that, oh my God, I always have 911. I can always call 911. And the Black people that are interacting with you right now in 2025 are being courageous at a level that I don't recognize. We are being Dr. King, Malcolm X, and I'm going to amend when it comes down to the Montgomery bus boycott, not Clarvette Colvin. I want Joe Ann Gibson Robinson to step forth, okay? But I'm being that courageous when they are interacting with me, that I am the oppressor. And if I disagree with them at any given time, I have in my hand 911, which is what White Woman Whispers asking you on their wall to learn how to put down so that you can participate in humanity. So how do you cope with the fact that you got 911, you got a gun to your own head that you got to take away?
Yeah, that's an excellent point, because this makes me think of the town hall in Coeur d'Alene that we just saw the video of the woman being dragged out. And I've seen so many Black creators saying,
I can't do that. I can't use the universal. The white woman that got dragged out, not the woman that got dragged out, the white woman that got dragged out.
Pointed out.
Thank you. You're right. The white woman that got dragged out, and the way the white women stood and watched, or just recorded, or there was no actual.
Y'all cheered. Don't disallow the cheering, because there was giggling and cheering and haha. That's just like a Democrat. No, that's all of y'all. That could be any single one of you, and people were sitting, clapping, giggling. A Black woman would not sit there and clap and giggle and tee hee hee and couldn't be me when another Black woman is being dragged from anywhere. A Black woman would not even let them lay hands on another a Black woman would not have let that one woman stand up by herself
Yeah,
To
and
be
black women would be publicly shamed because even when we've sat back after months recently, publicly, of enduring heinous misogynoir attacks, multiple of us being doxxed, and we said, you know what, we're sitting this out. We're sitting this out. Oh, so sad. They're coming to get you. Oh, okay. I'm still going to stay in the house. The public ridicule that we got, but white women don't get that. White women don't have to be in community with one another. White women only have to be loyal to self and the men in their lives. Let me repeat that. White women are only socially obligated to be loyal to themselves and the men in their lives. This is why you hear so many stories of white women losing their men to their mothers, their sisters, white women being betrayed by their mothers, white women losing their lives to their mothers, their sisters, their supposed friends. White women have been taught that it is okay to step on another white woman as long as you can look like you have it together. Black women are taught from the womb to have it together. And don't be caught slipping in public looking like you don't. We're taught that we are our brothers and sisters' keepers and that we have brothers and sisters.
Teach.
We are taught to honor and to learn from our ancestry, where white women are taught to bury and ignore ancestry. When you are brought up and you are allowed to relish and flourish without respect, it's never going to come. This is why we have video after video after video of Nazis walking in the street, and the only thing you get is somebody standing behind a window recording. But when they went to historically black Lincoln Heights, Ohio, people are like, well, I can't believe they did that. That woman said, and I quote, and I will quote this for all of my days, "This is sacred land. You will not disrespect it." That's because we have meaning behind something, because we have connection to each other. You can't look out for someone you're not connected to. This is why they care more about pets than they do about anything else. When they couldn't own us, when they changed the parameters of chattel slavery, this is why they started popping out kids in the dozens, because they were like, we're going to get free labor some way, somehow. And the adoption of dogs skyrocketed, because they will love what they own more than they will love and respect what has autonomy. This is also why they only cosplayed for 2 to 3 business days when the Dobbs decision was overturned. They don't care about autonomy.
Teach.
Can I piggyback off of what you said? They don't care about autonomy. And when I saw the election results, I was heartbroken, because I had watched all these white women do this white woman for Harris Zoom call. And I was like, they're going to do it this time, y'all. They're going to do it. And then they let us down. Only 39% voted for Kamala, which let me know that it was totally performative. And it was out of being competitive with black women. They just wanted to be able to say, anything you can do, we can do better. And it's like they voted, white women voted for their whiteness because they felt like black women were going to continue to fight for their womanhood. And because when we told them that we were out, we were done, that's when the shit hit the, excuse my French, that's when it hit the fan. Because white women and white men too, they have an honesty problem. Because they refuse to face their history, they don't understand that through their epigenetics, they truly, honestly, wholeheartedly believe that black people are here for 2 things and 2 things only: servitude to them and entertaining them. If we're not entertaining them and if we're not serving them, that's why they were mad at the Super Bowl performance, because how dare y'all entertain yourselves on our American stage. And then they're mad because we said we're hanging the capes up and we're not serving you anymore. And then instead of the white women understanding, because white women, I've learned through my mutual Tammy, who is the delusional influencer, that white women lack empathy. And if you are unable to see the human in everybody else, I didn't qualify for food stamps, but I didn't need to know that I didn't want other families going hungry. I am a woman of a certain age. I have a grandson. I'm not trying to have any more kids, but I did want little girls who got mishandled by their grandparent, by their grandfather, their fathers, or either misfortune by a stranger, to be able to get rid of something that they was carrying inside of them due to an act of violence. I didn't, because I have empathy, because Black people have empathy. And the thing that I find funny about some white women is that they'll get in the comments and they'll say, help us, teach us, but they don't really want to learn. They want to perform, because I tell them, I go in the comments and I say, there's so many white creators that I follow and they're doing good things. I try not to go in the comments and interact because I don't want them to be pushed to the Black FYP. I need them to go to their community so they can teach and learn there. But they don't want to learn there. They don't want to teach there. They want to do blue bracelets and send out a bat signal that we're safe, Black women. We're safe. You can protect us. It's just in the blue bracelets was just so we could know who we could protect. The nerve of them. And because
they're not trying to find each other. We're not trying to find each other. We're not trying to find each other. We're not trying to find each other.
Absolutely not.
Blue bracelet mode. We're trying to find Black people to save us again.
Yes, we're trying to say, hey, sister girl, you can protect me because I have a blue bracelet. And I'm like, how does that help me? Because if I stand a white woman who voted for Trump and a white woman who voted for Kamala and a white woman who didn't vote at all, if I stand them next to each other and nobody says a word, how do I know which is which?
There you go.
That's right there. And when you said that the competition, here's the thing. I keep telling y'all, white men are the biggest Houdinis, okay? White men have convinced white women to be in competition with every other woman, especially Black women, because if they are consumed with competing with us when we're not paying them any attention and trying to prove themselves to be morally, ethically superior to us and the beauty standards and everything else, they cannot pay attention to the fact that white men are using them and white men don't want them.
You know what's
why they're constantly fighting us every step of the way. And oh, well, yeah, we love Kamala. This is why I had to keep correcting them. Stop calling Kamala Harris Mamala. Stop looking for us to do these things. Stop trying to be like, oh, I can out arts and craft you. I can out cosplay this moment, because it is competition, and white men will forever fuel that competition, because as long as you are distracted, you will never figure out who your abuser is and what direction they're coming from, because he will continue to knock you between the refrigerator and the wall. And you'll keep turning around looking at Black women thinking that we did it. No, baby, that's Uncle Sam doing that to you every day, every time.
Okay. Okay. So, forgive me. Because, and I just had this with a Black woman that's in my life, okay? When we receive feedback, it's our job to internalize it and then come out with a solution. Right? Because I want to avoid colluding in my own damn oppression. Hear that? I want to avoid colluding in my own damn oppression. So I'm going to throw the ball back, bounce the ball back to our white friends and family, because we just said a whole lot of truth. Now I really want to know, to the people who are paying attention, when you
very good moderator, I'm just saying.
Oh, you're good. When you hear that Black people, one, don't believe that you feel empathy, what do you do with that if you're a white body? If you're in a white body and you hear, okay, you guys are performative. Okay, so all I know how to do is the mechanic. How do you cope with the idea that when it comes down to the doing part, you can do? That's the performative. But when it comes down to being, and being able to resonate, being able to show up, being able to empathize, being able to be compassionate, that's where there's it's hard to measure. I can measure the doing part, but the discomfort that comes up when I have to listen to a Black woman.
We're not doing that shit here. My whole thing is that it feels like American Psycho behind the eyes for most white people when they're telling me that they care about like all that stuff. Like, Have you seen the movie American Psycho? It's one of my favorite movies.
I know. I hear exactly what you're talking about. Okay.
The Gen Zs may not have heard of that one, but if you know Christian Bale, American Psycho is this movie about a businessman who who may or may not have unalived a whole bunch of ladies of the night, but you don't know because it's but that's how I feel about most white people. Like there's a lot of surface. There's a lot of performance in everything that they do. It has to be perfect. It has to look a certain way. But I don't need you to come into my comments and be like, I'm hearing you and I'm seeing you and just follow me. And if you want to tell me how great I am, send a couple blang blangs to my PayPal, that's going to do me more good than, but okay, your question is great. I just wanted to add on to that because I was doing something else.
Right, because
can we let Desiree have a moment?
Yes.
Oh, I was just happy to join and listen. Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yes?
Yes.
We can hear you.
Oh, okay. Because I have these headphones on. Sometimes they're funny. No, this is great. I've been super excited just to kind of sit down and listen. And I think that where it goes off, or where we kind of, as Black people, we miss, they're not safe with each other. Those blue bracelets had nothing to do with us whatsoever. It was about them finding each other and trying to find safety, right? Like, I very much put the onus back on them to recognize their own colonization, the violence that they consistently do to one another, right? Like, if you don't know me, if you've not followed me, not seen me, heard me, I grew up in whiteness. My mother is an Irish American, first generation. So white people can't play in my face because I very much know how violent it is from the very inside of it, right? Just because you have a black or brown body around you does not mean that they start changing their ways, their language, their thoughts.
Fetishization, my friends.
You said what, my love?
That fetishization, my friends. They fetishize your body, but they don't fetishize your lived experience.
Right. So, for me, I look at it and I'm like, I don't even take it personal because I'm like, it's so twisted, right? Like, to the American Psycho situation, it's so twisted, so volatile, and so violent within it. It has no other way to express itself outside of it, right? And this is really the first generation that they've actually been allowed to be around other people, right? When you really think about it, from feudalist England, right, before they came over here, before they experienced any other black or brown body people anywhere, they were putting each other on pikes. Like, Queen Mary was literally impaling pregnant women, that looked like her, right? Like, creating a hierarchy based on caste, based on class systems. Like that. Like, again, I'm Irish, so I'm more aware of Irish history. Other ethnic white people may have their own history, but the Irish were literally used as the bread bowl of colonization, right? And they were the lowest rung in the white caste system. So, I'm very well aware of how violent it could be with inside of it. And I think that is, for me, at least, that's where, my work has to come into play. I'm like, you guys have to do the work of healing, of recognizing, because I'm not here for, oh, white privilege or any of this. I talked about that the other day on my Substack. I'm like, it's white leverage. Because in order for privilege to exist, you have to subjugate, right? For privilege to exist, oppression has to exist. That's one of those binaries of those 15 pillars of supremacy culture, right? So I'm really not here for that. And there's zero privilege in having no community, no sisterhood, no camaraderie, no language, no culture. But you could leverage your whiteness in this system, right? If you are part of the 30 something percent of white people that decided, Kamala was going to be a better choice, then you could leverage that whiteness to do the work of undoing what your brethren are doing, right? Because you want to cry and say, oh, they voted against their best interest. Bullshit. Patriarchy has been in the best interest of white women since white women created patriarchy.
Bars.
Those women are, thank you. Those women are voting along their own survival, what they've known through hypergamy for generations, and they're voting against you. It's not us. I want white women to get that. They don't give a fuck about black people. We just happen to be the cannon fodder, and just we're what is that saying when it's when it's superfluous? It's a peripheral it doesn't matter. It's like it's just an unfortunate, part of the system that's happening. They're actively voting against you, poor white woman. They're actively against voting against your body rights, your autonomy, your sovereignty. And until you actually realize that it's you that they're after because they want to create their cis het patriarchal ethno white state, we're going to keep going round and round in circles because you can't save me when you have not been able to save yourself in thousands of years.
Facts.
And on
Teach.
that note, I got to go kind of get my tiny little humans
Thank
from
you
school.
for being here.
Peace.
I
Peace.
would.
Thank you.
I want to touch back on the blue braces. I would agree with you as far as you saying that's for them
Oh,
for
wait, I'm listening.
safety. The reason why I can't agree with that sentiment is because if you are truly a blue dot in a red state, why would you want to put a blue sticker on your forehead?
Truth.
So
Heard.
why are you identifying yourself to your enemy? That's
Truth.
how I know it was performative. That's
Correct.
how I know, because they didn't go on there to speak to their mega family members. They went on here and said, "Oh my God, guys, how do we let you know that we're safe?" No,
Correct.
so I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to
Correct.
call
Well,
Cap on that one.
Yes, it was performative, but let's take it a step further. Because what is the biggest commodity within the United States? Blackness and black people and still black skin. They weren't even trying to identify one another. They were just trying to turn a profit off of us yet again. When I tell you that the parameters of slavery and their level of capitalism evolves, this is what I'm talking about. Because they weren't just like, oh, I'm going to make this bracelet for myself and put it on there. Every single one of them popped up with a TikTok shop, an Etsy shop. I got a link for this. It was immediate commodification. It was immediate capitalization on the distress that they believed we, specifically black women, were under. But you must remind them, we are not the ones that are going to fall apart. When we inevitably walk into, because y'all gonna tangle yourselves right into it, the Great Depression 2.0, just like the Great Depression 1.0, it won't be us freaking out. We will not be having yard sales to sell our literal family members, okay? We will not be going to bridges to jump off because we just can't get it together. Absolutely not. We will adapt and we will move on. You are trying to capitalize off of your projection. And each and every time, this is why when they protest, they must cosplay. There's always something to sell, and there's always something to sell that has a touch of black skin in it.
Okay, okay, yes. Now, this is eager. This is the eager account. This is for European Americans to deconstruct what they are going through. Everything that black women have said on this has been right and exact. It has been true. Now the question becomes, because European Americans have to heal European Americans. I don't think that we providing them education has worked.
I'm pushing back on that. No, listen, I'm pushing back on that because, as I said earlier, implicit bias allows them to walk around in their discomfort and pretend that they don't have to listen to us. I am tired of centering their comfort in any of this. Yes,
I don't want
this
to
is
center their comfort.
Listen. Just let me finish my sentence.
Okay.
I don't want to I'm not doing this as an aim to, I'm trying to educate these people. No, I'm trying to let them know that this is the world that they live in. That's not about education. That's about like getting us all up to speed so we can move ahead. Like in a different sense to me than what most people mean when they're talking about educating. Like I'm trying to just relate my lived experience. If you get educated by that, sure. And I'm kind of going back. I'm kind of like expanding on your questions, just in the sense of like I have ADHD and autism, so I need a little bit of extra something when I'm trying to explain some things. So when I'm trying to like offer my perspective, it's not me trying to educate them or overspeak. It's just me trying to elicit the response that I need to educate myself on what they mean. Because somebody said something early, or they didn't vote because of compassion. They voted for self-preservation. And that like was a light bulb moment for me in my own life about this election, because as a Black person, we do everything out of a sense of obligation for everyone else, right? So like I didn't realize that white people weren't like that. And because I live in I live in an upstate area where it's like a lot of I live in a predominantly white area. You know, Trump has visited my area like 3 or 4 times. He has golf courses near here. Like I'm surrounded by Trump flags. And I'm in upstate New York. So like there are pockets of that everywhere. It's not just about location, it's about whiteness, you know? So like all I'm asking is when I'm like trying to clarify some stuff, it's not because I don't want to hear their answer, just to clarify that for everybody. I'm not trying to not hear your answer or direct the conversation. I'm just trying to like clarify for my own brain. And sometimes as an ADHD autistic person, I need that little extra interjection.
Quite all right. I'm not opposed to that. What I want to like reiterate as far as this is the eager account.
Yes.
This isn't Royal Star account. Okay. Right. So what it is that I'm working from the premise because we're doing a distributed medicine tour. It's not Black people. When I work with Black people, I want a sanctuary away from white people. I don't have this conversation with Black people. We got our own stuff to work with. We're having a conversation because European Americans need to heal other European Americans, and I'm trying to create those persons.
Yeah. I just wanted to ask a question of the European Americans for the next. So I definitely respect that because I learned a lot just from what I can't see her whole name, the ever evolving whatever.
Yeah,
Everyday Valkyrie.
Everyday Valkyrie
said.
Yeah, I want to go back to
that. I learned a lot from that because like, and I don't want you to think that we think that you're like a serial murker, but like,
oh no.
Having grown up and like I lost a lot of friends after this election. Like I had to literally tell people that I have broken bread with that I could never talk to them again because they were just like, why can't we let it all go? And I'm like, because you don't see me as a human being. I've grown up and been indoctrinated by white culture in a way that a lot of Black people have not simply because of my proximity to whiteness. You know, like I'm not a white presenting person, but I was raised by them like a pack of damn wolves. So I understand them on that level, but I am also trying to understand to maybe soothe my own feelings as to like why that happened, you know?
Yes, because right now I am concerned that our European American friends and family can't hear themselves. Like they just did that town hall and they can't have the conversation amongst themselves.
Yeah, they're scary. And I don't think they realize that they're scary.
I think they do recognize that they're scared. They tell us privately that they're scared. They got to make that a part of the national conversation.
No, not scared. Scary. Like terrifying. Like I don't want to be around them. Like I don't want to be like caught in a dark alley with like nice Judy and Sue because they terrify me. Like I am in mortal fear for my life around loose white ladies. I don't want to be near them, you know, and they're triggering for me as someone with PTSD. So like,
yeah, but
it's hard.
White people,
I sincerely believe that we need to separate.
Have this conversation the same way that white people have conversations about our business. White people, this is the time for you to step from behind the blinds and go out to the end of your driveway and talk to your neighbor. Go talk to your fellow Karen. Go talk to your fellow Richard. You need to make this conversation as big as you make it when you're talking about Black and brown business.
So practice here because this is the eager account. This is where you're supposed to practice that.
Please educate all of us. I would like to hear it.
I want to, Vix, I want to do this again tomorrow. And then can we recruit some white people who can have this conversation because they've got to model here. They got to practice at home and then they can do it abroad. But they've got to come onto this app where they actually can find each other and practice. I don't know how to feel about the fact that Black people don't believe that I see them as human. Even though I interact with them, I don't believe that. They don't believe that.
They have to be ready to be honest, though. They're not. I watch Eagle's account, and I watch her talk to them. She has the patience of Job. Sometimes I gotta keep scrolling. She has the patience of Job. She talks to them in that coddling voice. And you know, I'm a Black mama. We don't talk to our kids like that. I'm a Black woman in America. There's been nobody in my life from the time I was elementary that have ever coddled me or cared about my feelings. That actually helped me because it gave me tough skin. So what I do want to offer, though, I understand what you're trying to do, though. You want them to come in and have the conversation. The thing is, I don't think that they're honest enough to be ready to face that honesty.
That part.
But on empathy, I do have my mutual has an empathy scorecard that they can go and download, and they can work on their scorecard, and we can come back with the live and try to help them work through their big feelings. I mean, come on, we're adults and we're in the middle of a government takedown. Like, we need the white people to catch up quickly.
To push back on the need for gentility and like civility and all of that at all times in these conversations. I'm not uncompassionate, but I'm tired of being demanded to be compassionate. It's not healthy. False positivity doesn't help any of us, right?
Correct.
And like, I've studied a lot of the Buddhist philosophy, and part of Buddhism and meditation is getting comfortable with your discomfort. And that's like one thing that I'm introducing on my own page, is having these conversations and making them uncomfortable, because it's time to be uncomfortable. Like, they have spent history, eons and eons of history being coddled and gently coaxed and, oh, well, we just need to, no, I'm here to rock the boat, and I'm here to make them uncomfortably tell me why they can't just admit what we all are seeing and all know, because it's ridiculous.
They are uncomfortable. They need to be uncomfortable in public. But I want to say this for those, because I've seen quite a few of you all pop into the comments and to view, and I'm glad that you're stopping through. Anybody who has actively or previously participated in my open discussions, please stop by tomorrow, because I know that you are willing and honest enough to participate in these conversations. I know that you're already currently having the conversations, but make them even more public. Make them even more public. And those that may not be ready to join a panel like this, I'm not the only person that hosts open discussions. Come by, learn from your fellow white people. I'm there just to answer some questions, and to make sure you stay on task.
I'm interested in hosting some events like this myself.
You might get cussed out a little bit. Well, you might get cussed out a lot bit. I'm not gonna lie to these good folks.
I'm probably gonna get cussed out a lot on my page.
I might cuss you smooth out if you get disrespectful. Don't do that. But start small. You don't have to start big with the conversations. Start small. Go look in the mirror. And this is why I do my journal prompts once a week for y'all. Start with the mirror. Pull a Michael Jackson. Start with the man, woman, non-binary person in the mirror. Start that conversation there. Then move to your closest friends. Move to your partner. Move to your family members. Move to your coworkers. Move to your neighbors. And then go. Because just like when you were a baby, you started by crawling. Then you pulled up. Then you took a few steps. Then you learned how to walk faster. Then you learned how to run. Now
you fell over and you hurt yourself and you scraped your knee and you got back up.
You don't have to jump into the marathon, but you have to pick a point to start, and only you know the level that you are on and where to go from there. Don't take on too much right now, because you're going to give up.
Also,
can I interject for just a moment?
To be centering of your tears. I'm done.
Yes, I'm in agreement with you, and I don't want to center their tears. Next, okay, I'm down to do this VIX tomorrow, and I really want to work with white people.
I'll make sure we got a bunch of them.
I love my peers. I love my peers. I love my peers. I love my peers. And I know I'm scheduled for Taz. I'm going to let you go, Heretic. I love my peers, but I want to do this tomorrow, because white people have got to talk about the pain they're in right now and how to move themselves from that pain, because it's some bullshit.
What time is it tomorrow? You haven't told us what time.
2 p.m. Central, or 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific time.
Yes, because I'm in agreement with Renee. This is some bullshit. They're cuddling each other at the present moment, and it's bullshit. All right, Heather.
All right, I've been listening this whole time and whatnot, and this whole conversation reminds me of a conversation I had with Pam. RS, you know what I'm talking about. Pam, shut up. Mm-hmm. I had a conversation with her about how whiteness lives. Okay. Whiteness is a habit. I need everybody to understand that whiteness is a habit, and it exists in the myopic bubble of judgment. I'm putting this out there to basically hone in your questions that you have already about this whole thing. That if you think about a person who's living in a, let's say, in a literal bubble, okay, who live, it's just hypothetical anyway, but people who live in a literal bubble develop habits to exist within said bubble. What happens when you take them out of that bubble? What happens to their immune system? They'll crash the fuck out. This is what we're talking about, because in that bubble, that's where the individualism lives. When you talk about white people have to heal, they have yet to be injured in a way that is recognizable to them to this degree of which they can break out of said bubble. So that's I want everybody that's white to understand that this is what's necessary to even approach the conversation. That whiteness is a habit. You have to address those habits. They're the most subtle, nuanced things that you do every single day. I know this because I work with the public. I see this every day. I see the habits that exist, and it's just not recognizable. In order for white people to heal, they have to know that they've been injured. And their injury isn't something that's laced in their uncomfortability. It's laced in their complicity. So when you have this conversation, understand that whiteness is a habit for you to exist in a myopic bubble of judgment. You have control of what enters that bubble, but what terrifies you is that bubble being burst without your consent.
True.
So that's literally all I wanted to come up here and say, because whiteness is a habit. You have to discover what those habits are in order for you to have conversations with other white-bodied individuals, in order for them to deconstruct from white supremacy.
Facts.
Can you say what
all right,
you said
beautiful
about
people? It is
the injury being complacent? What was that again?
Complicit injury.
Yeah.
Okay. That injury is complicit because you have to understand, and Duet Ninja is very good for saying this often, being white is a condition. You are conditioned to be complicit. You are conditioned to be complacent, because that's how you maintain your myopic bubble of judgment. So you don't understand that whiteness is the one thing that's actually holding you back.
Mm-hmm.
I
love that you said that. It's got my mind going. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna have to drop also, because I know my good brother has to go, because I do have to I have to get the midday recap going. And for those that are interested, I do have 2 actual book clubs today, one via Zoom and one here on TikTok. You don't have to have the book. There are people here that are in that book club. I read it to you and break it down and take questions in real time. So join me there. And if you are truly, truly interested in the open discussions, they're linked in my bio. And if the one that's listed doesn't work for you, there is another one. I do not have it listed. Just because it generally goes on a one-on-one basis, and too many people were trying to use it to troll, and I got anger management issues. And there's also a history class if you want the hush, Harrington. I didn't become the villainess at arms for no reason. But there is a Saturday history class that you are more than welcome to join as well. But as always, I love you guys. And Vix, I do know Smoking Hot Jess said that she would love to join tomorrow, and she's great. And I'm going to check with...
She's an Eager.
Yeah, I thought so.
She's a member of Eager, yeah.
And I'm going to check with Rob as I get together, because I did notice that he messaged me also to see if he will join tomorrow. But as always, thank you all. And any of the educators on here, hit me up. I do have a series the first Wednesday of every month if you want to come through and drop some lovely wisdom on y'all. And as I always say, each one teach one, each one reach one. Y'all go out and have some good trouble.
See you. Thank you all for coming.
Yes.